Hightower Advisors is focused on its next phase of growth. I'm joined by their CEO, Larry Restieri, to learn more. Larry, thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
So obviously Hightower, masters of growth in our space. What's ahead as you look at the next stage?
Sure. I mean, look, I think we're going to continue on the path that we've been on for the last year. And what we're focused on is consolidating around our new brand, Hightower Signature Wealth. That's our in-house RIA, our fully integrated model there. We're building upon our kind of middle office stack. We call this platform Hightower One, and that's really about having onboarding and investment management best in class, really allowing advisors to just focus on their clients. And then, when I look across, we have a lot of independent firms. Our goal is to work with all of them and help them grow. So like I said, I mean, for all the advisors, it's focus on your clients. How do we help you? For the home office, it's how do we enable that?
Well, the roadmap certainly sounds bright there. And from where you sit, what industry trends should advisors be focusing on right now and maybe over the next few months?
Sure. Well, I mean, look, it wouldn't be a conference or a panel without talking about AI. But I think I kind of step back and talk about it more as technology. I think what we're seeing in our space, which is so exciting, is just the great fintech firms that are out there, wealth tech, that is enabling advisors to just deliver more for their clients. So look, at the end of the day, this is a people business, but how you deliver, kind of the intellectual capital now is never been easier because some of these firms are just making it easier to do that. So I think that's the most exciting trend, but I think it's one that everybody's just going to be, looking at, talking to people, and experiencing some of these technologies because it really does improve advisor and client lives.
Oh, absolutely. And as somebody who constantly is covering wealth tech, that is my area of expertise. It's been an interesting journey, I'd say, over the last decade, if you even just look at the Kitsy's map of how much that's exploded. So do you think we're going to also go through this era of consolidation, though, because we have seen the advent of AI come into wealth management, but now there are so many AI, note-taker solutions. We're starting to see a little redundancy. So is there a world here soon where things are a bit more consolidated?
Well, look, I mean, who knows what's going to happen across the space? What I do kind of firmly believe is this is one of the few industries which is so driven by people. And I think that relationship is at the client advisor relationship is at the cornerstone of all of this. And people with their money, that's one of the most important relationships that they have. And whether they have 50,000, 500,000, 5 million or more, if that's your life savings, you really care about that. And I think when it becomes critical, you want to talk to somebody. Now that said, I think all these tools just make it easier for clients to deliver different parts of, for advisors to deliver different parts of the client experience, but I don't think they can ever replicate that client-advisor relationship.
So I want to go back to this concept of growth because you've had just a remarkable growth story, whether it's through Goldman, through Ayco, and now with Hightower. What's the through line in building and scaling successful advisory businesses?
Yeah, so look, I've had a great career. I spent 25 years at Goldman. I spent the last 8 leading the Ayco franchise and kind of taking that, to the next level. But I think having worked with advisors my entire career, what the theme I always take in any time I've led a business is one of, when I think of myself as a leader, is servant leadership. So I think it's really important, especially with advisors, because at the end of the day, when you run an advisor business, it's an advisor-led business. So I say to the advisors that whether they were at Hightower or the different groups that I worked with at Goldman, I work for you. My job is to make your job better. And I always say, I don't have a job without you. So let's figure out how to work together. And I think if you take that mindset, the advisors, you can build trust across your organization. People want to follow you and kind of what you're doing. And then, the way I've always managed is I set a clear vision for where we're going. I want everybody to understand that. I want full transparency of what we're doing. I've tried to be doing this with Hightower, and we have this Hightower 3.0 strategy of where we're going in the next evolution of our journey. That I'm very clear with it, and I want everybody to understand what we're doing, why we're doing it, how they fit in, and how it helps them and how it helps their clients. And I think as long as you approach the business with that mentality, you will get growth.
Oh, absolutely. As long as everyone is on the same page, like you said, that is where the growth starts. So Larry, as always, appreciate your insights and your perspective.
Thank you for having me. Great to be here.
Absolutely. For Wealth Management, I'm Shannon Rossick.